Today on Nerd and Normal, as kids use technology more and more, it's hard to keep them safe. There is a phone made especially for kids to give parents back the power to keep their kids safe. Today, we'll be joined by the developer of that phone, Charlie Brown.
Welcome to Nerd and Normal with Matthew and Gareth, opening your mind to the world of technology. So let's get started.
Look, as a parent and as a grandparent now with two littlies, the mobile phone is a real dilemma. What the children can do on their phone, how the children can access their phone, and who can access the children's phone is a real worry. Well, there is a development that is going to make a life of a parent and a grandparent so much better. And it was developed by Charlie Brown. It's called the Ge-Mee phone. And we are very lucky today to have the inventor, and he's an Australian, on the phone. There you go, Matt. You better talk about how well you know this guy who's a technology expert.
I've talked to Charlie many times, and I love the phone. To the point where I actually got the phone here right next to me. It works great. It actually has a very long battery. This has been charged up last Friday. It's on half charge now. So the battery lasts forever. I love that. It's got no bloatware. It's quick. It's simple. It's not the most powerful phone in the world. It doesn't have to be for what it's going to do. No camera. Simple. Parents have control. Hello, Charlie Brown.
Matt, Gareth, thank you for having me on, and Matt, thanks for your interest in getting a phone that we made for your family.
And I better at the end of this conversation better get one for my two grandchildren, 7 and 8. So I need it.
Yeah, that's the age when people are, and what we see, starting to get phones. Not every family. I mean, every family is unique, right? And when I actually started Ge-Mee 6-7 years ago now, and the nucleus of the idea came from my wife, and we actually didn't want a phone. Quite a famous Australian was the one I'll tell you about in a sec, is the one who gave me the idea of actually doing a phone. We wanted an Android iPod so that our kids could stream content, specifically music content, because we all grew up records, tapes, CDs, those kinds of things. And you would go off into your room and that was your safe space, and you would have music to complement the experience of just being able to chill out, and the world was outside those walls, right? And when we looked at it and looked at the market, we were like, there's just nothing around. I went looking. I even ended up on Alibaba, and I was like, there's just nothing that does what we want to do. There's a couple of simple rules. One, it had to be controllable by a parent, what the access could do, on the device could do. Two, it couldn't have a camera on it, because as good as I have seen software blocks achieve, it's like getting in through a front door of a house. There is always a way, right? There's always this way. And we thought, look, if we just don't leave a camera on there at all, you can't take a photo at all, right? So even if there's software blocks and things like that. So it had to have that. It had to be affordable. It had to be simple to set up. And Matt, you had feedback for us, which was really helpful on your experience. And it also had to be supported, because one of the things that parents run into is they've got zero knowledge on this stuff. I know that you guys do, but the bulk of our customers have got literally zero awareness of of how to set it up, or how to operate it, or how to make sure the device is going to be complementary to the digital lifestyle that they want in their family. So we had these goals, and it was really, and they were our family goals and our family values. And it was like, I wasn't even thinking commercially at that stage. I was thinking, well, it doesn't exist. I'll go get some prototypes made up. And I'll just give them to my kids, and Dad's done his job of protecting the digital experiences of his kids and supplying this wonderful opportunity to have that zone out time, like we all did. And then I went to one of my kids' netball games on a Saturday morning after I do a radio show nationally, and it finishes, and I go off to watch my kids play netball, and I'm there and I'm talking to the dad, and he's going, oh mate, can you get me a couple of those? Because I'll by the end of that morning, I had about 50 prototypes on order from other families. And that's when I said to my wife, there's something in this. There's definitely something in this. I don't know where it's going to go, but I know that we have to follow this little trail of breadcrumbs that parents are giving us. And off we went, and that's how we started.
Even to this day, I was looking into other phones for kids. The main competitor you had was Opal, but they don't do them anymore. You can't source them.
No, they followed a different path. They're a retail focused business, and I haven't spoken to them. I've had pictures from them to do reviews of their phones on our radio show and TV shows and that kind of stuff. But this is just what I've seen. They went that retail path. We took a path that was, okay, the world probably isn't quite ready for what we're making yet. Like, we believe at some point they will, and each either community or country or religious group or whoever it is, they will arrive at the point where my family is at some point. We don't know when it's going to be. So going in and doing a pitch and sticking these things into stores all over the planet, and it's one, we don't have the money to do that. Two, we don't know what we don't know about it yet. Like, we knew what we knew what we wanted, but we didn't know what the gaps were in delivering such a product to consumers. Like, where were we going to find problems in supply chain, distribution, parental controls? Or where were we going to find those problems? We didn't know yet. So we didn't want to go out heavy and hard, mess it up, kill the brand, and then we're done, right? Like, so we thought, okay, we're going to make sure that just because we're not in a retail environment, that's not going to be a barrier to you not being able to get our product, right? So we went with a marketplace-driven strategy, and that's in the US, it's Amazon and Walmart. In Europe, it's Amazon. It's Cdiscount as well in France. And we basically just went by where we think the market's going to be. We're also on eBay in a couple of places, and in Australia, it was Amazon, eBay. It was Catch Online, which is closed down. And also we sell in the US and Australia on our own website. And there's a lot of benefits to doing that too. But we also dabbled in retail. We went with Australia Post, and they were really, really proactive. And you might think, okay, well, they're a government department essentially, and they're a package or a mail house company. But they were really proactive in understanding where the phone market was going and saying, look, we're not sure where this is going to sit with us, but we're willing to give it a go and willing to try. At the end of that experience, we went, look, we're just going to pull back into marketplaces and we're going to push ahead there. And we're going to take a view that if you're a parent and you go looking for us, you're going to be able to find us, and you're going to be able to get us quite quickly and quite easily and affordably as well. And that was the goal.
Wouldn't, Charlie, down the track, tomorrow, next year or whatever, one of the mobile phone companies, whether it be an Android or a smartphone or an Apple phone, wouldn't an organization like that, if obviously they in it to make money, they could potentially see how good this is for parents who want to help their children? I mean, we have the situation in Australia with phone bans being introduced in schools. We have the Online Safety Amendment Act that took place in 2024 that's going to make social media ban a difficulty. Wouldn't an Apple or a Samsung or whatever company you want to look at be very keen to access what you have, so long as you keep control of the phone itself?
I spend a lot of time looking at what the big tech companies do, and I see that there are some good things in it, and there are some things that don't work. And I believe that this space needs an entrepreneurial, fast, nimble approach to it, because the kids are changing so quickly in what they're looking at and what they're using their phones for and wanting to use their phones for. And you need to be able to look at that and respond quite quickly, and also be sensitive to the fact that we're not talking about a lot of units of sales in comparison to the Apples and Samsungs and Motorola's and all that. So when I look at Apple, they've got a great service. They've got a really good service. There's things on it that they don't include, like call and SMS managing, for example. There's none of that on there. And I think that's really important, especially for the younger users. And our customers tell us that. But mum or dad has to have an iPad or an iPhone. There's no managing remotely the phone unless you're in that Apple ecosystem and I think dad isn't necessarily going to have an Apple phone. Why are you blocking him from providing this safety to his kids, right? So I don't like the way that Apple's done it. Android has got Family Link, and you can manage that from an iPhone, Android phone, or a browser, but it can be switched off at the age of 13. And it was a dark, dark day in our house when my kid turned off Family Link to their tablet. And then all of a sudden they were able to download the entire internet because Google decided that 13-year-olds, we can trust them, or other expectations to the same effect. So that's Apple and Google. Samsung's not doing anything. They used to do a kid's tablet. They haven't really done anything much in that space. I think they're very busy chasing billions and billions in sales globally, and that's fine for them to do it. What we want to do is make sure that parents have a choice, and parents have an affordable choice, and one that is, again, simple and safer and supported and affordable. And if we keep doing that, we think we'll be all right.
Let me just say, all right, a parent listening to this right now, or a grandparent listening to what you're saying right now, is going to say, all right, I've got a mobile phone and I know what it can do. I want my children to have maybe what you're talking about, but I need to know more about the item itself. So can you just take us through some of the things it can and cannot do as a phone? Let me start, for example. My two grandchildren, under supervision from their mother, they play games with the Pokemon or with Bluey or whatever.
Yep.
Are they going to be able to access games on your Gmail?
Can I
on your
quickly jump in quickly there and say the power of the phone sort of minimises the chance of playing games. I have put Pokemon Go onto this Ge-Mee here. Yes, it does work. Yes, it's as slow as anything. So it gets the kids off the games rather than getting them onto the games.
Yeah, okay. and we find that kids who want to play more games are going to get a tablet because the overall experience is better. We do have kids that are playing all sorts of different games on there, but the heavy graphic intensive stuff, less so, because you need a stronger phone in which to do it. Now, I can go out and I can get a 3.5 gigahertz chipset and 8 gig RAM and all those kinds of things, but the price is going to go up. And for most parents who we talk to, they go, no, I don't care if you can play games or not. I want to know. I want to be able to say who can call him or her, who can call them, who can text them. I want to be able to track them. I want them to be able to have selected apps that I say are okay, and it might be a bus timetable or a train timetable, or it could be a weather app or a music app or whatever. A few of those things to give a positive digital experience to them when they're outside the home. But what I don't want this to be is a content gush into their head, into their brain, because that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want that. And as I said at the start of the discussion, most of our users sort of come in at the age of 7 or 8, and then they might leave us by the time they're sort of 14, 15, and they're going on to something better. But our hope is during those years, we've helped the parent to give better digital decision making into the kids. Now, all the family psychologists I speak to say, look, man, blokes especially, their frontal cortex isn't developed till their early 20s, where they're making good decisions or bad decisions. So a lot of the time they don't even know until it's too late, right? And that's the issue. We see it as, well, okay, let's keep the parent and the kid together, connected together. The parent supporting the kid. We call our parental control system Ge-Mee co-pilot, because we see our parents as co-pilots, right? And that's our hope, is parents and kids working together and the kids get better and better at managing this stuff.
You
With
seem,
that,
Charlie, sorry, Matt, you seem to be really reinforcing what Professor Marilyn Campbell has said in her lectures, that what we need to be doing is teaching our children in the age bracket you're talking about appropriate use of phones rather than simply banning them or allowing them to have access to one of the Android or Apple type phone. So it really is in that very critical stage of development, even though a lot of those kids have a greater awareness of technology than you, the parent, does, but you are teaching them the appropriate use of a technology.
We're trying to. We think parents. The problem we see, and there's a bigger discussion going on, obviously because of the December 10 requirements around social media. Removal of access for under 16s and stuff.
Yep, yep.
We try to, but at the end of the day, we're also taking this view that parents mostly have zero idea around what the issues are in this space. I know that from our family, we learn things from our kids, the dangers of what they're looking at. When the Charlie Kirk assassination occurred, one of my kids, who not the youngest one, thank goodness, but the 14-year-old came and said, "Oh yeah, Dad, she's graduated off one of our phones and she's on another phone now." And she's like, "Oh, Dad, I went and looked up the video of Charlie Kirk," and I went, "Oh, okay, wow." I didn't even want to see that, right? I don't want you seeing that. And then we had to have a discussion about it and this, but you don't even know what the problem is the bulk of the time until the problem has actually landed in your kid's lap. And part of the delivery mechanism of the problem is from their social circles. And good luck getting them to completely disengage from that, because we've tried in our home and our kids won't. We're very lucky. Our 17-year-old has seen the dark side of social media on her own. Like she's not banned. She has been engaged with it and then unengaged from it, and she's taken steps to delete those apps from her phone because she has said, I don't feel good after using these apps. And we're talking about Instagram and TikTok, right? And there's a big discussion there. But what we want is, look, let's forget individual country policies for a second. We want our customers, wherever they are in the world, to be able to affordably buy our device, set it up, and give their kids a safer digital experience. That's our goal. And now we're selling in 30 different countries.
Is there the possibility you might do the Ge-Mee Copilot as a software for people to download onto their Samsung devices?
Yeah, the issue with that, and we've considered that, the issue is that when you make this software, you're making a promise to a parent, right? You're making a promise. And we take our devices and we rigorously test the software running on the device after it's been embedded into the firmware. So you can't delete the app. You can try factory resetting and all that stuff, but it remains. You can open the device in safe mode. The app still runs, right? So we have those levels of control because we actually build the firmware and build requirements into the firmware to act a particular way. When you don't build that firmware, if you go and load it onto a Moto or a Samsung, well, they build the firmware, right? So you then have to go and think, okay, well, how far are we going to test to make sure this is running? And then people could install it onto different versions of Android. They could try and install it onto a 10 or an 11 or a 14 or whatever, and you might get different behaviors. And the other issue is you're then jumping into this much bigger pond of being a software company that says, you know what, download us, it will work. And then I've seen too many examples where it doesn't, and that's dangerous. So yeah, at the moment we make our software work on our devices, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, because the child between the ages of 7 and 13, their familiarity with the phone, if you had the software and it was downloaded onto another company's phone, they've got the ability to change that or get around it if they wanted to. Whereas with yours, they can't change it, correct?
No, yeah, they can't. They can't delete the app off there. They can't. They can't make changes to the experience without the parent authorizing those changes remotely first. And I've had family psychologists, one of which until recently was running a kids screen addiction clinic, who used our phones in his clinic. And the kids came back frustrated because they weren't able to get around our blocks. There was one occasion where they did on a very, very old phone, our very first phone. Well, we just changed the firmware with a software update, and then out the window went that little chestnut. And this particular psychologist came back and said, "Mate, this is good. This is working. I'm giving this to the kids," and they're coming back. Some of them were frustrated. Some of them were happy to have a device finally. The parents were very happy, and that was the result. So if we can support at the coalface of where these issues are really being found, then that gives us confidence that for the general community, we can do the right thing by them as well.
How did you handle your own children when they'd come home after you've given them your phone, and they said, "Oh, Dad, Mike at school, he's got the things he can do on his phone." How did you handle the frustration of the child coming back saying, "What you've given me isn't a phone"?
Well, then that's the thing, right? They're all every kid's part of a tribe. They've got social circles. They're part of a school tribe or a sport tribe or whatever it is. When everyone else in the tribe has got open-ended access to everything and your kid doesn't, your kid very, very quickly turns their rage toward you as being the remover of that enablement to just be a normal kid, right? I don't think it's normal for a 10-year-old standing in a bus stop, and this is a real example, to shout to their friend, "Hey, let me show you how to twerk. I saw this on TikTok." And as a parent, you see that and you go, that is wrong on so many levels. I don't want my kid having any association with all those multiple touch points that saw that outcome happening. Now, the parent was nowhere around, so how would they know that their kid has seen this, right? And it was when I started seeing that, I realized the magnitude of the problem that we have. And that's one example. There's been many. But I realized the magnitude of the problem that we have, and me just making a phone that stops all that is not the only solution that's going to work here. And now Australia's working on their solution. Other countries are doing things similar. I think we're going to see a greater movement toward policy changes across the planet at different speeds. Countries will choose what they choose. We will keep making a device that helps parents to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. But it is hard, and it's a very astute question, Gareth, because the kids don't live in a vacuum. They live in a community, and they don't want to be different. And they get to the point where their focus is on getting reinforcement from their parents. And then as they grow older and older, they want reinforcement from their peer groups.
Their peers, yeah.
The problem comes down to, is it training the parents or training the kids more that's important with this? Yes, the phone.
But it's both, but it starts with the parent, right? Because I can't go parent your kid, right? That's not my job. And I'm also not the person that goes out and says, "You're being a bad parent because you're making what I believe are bad parent decisions," right? Now, I'm a parent. I make bad parent decisions all the time, right?
Does that make me bad? Never tell the kids that.
Yeah, but does that make me a bad parent? Well, probably not, because I'm always trying to be better. And if you're a parent and you got no understanding of technology, both parents, I mean, look at the community today. Both parents, you're having to work full time, most of them, just to pay the mortgage or the rent. That saps parent FaceTime from their kids. So the kids are spending more time away from being engaging with their parents. And I think that this is part of the outcome of that. So, okay, if that's where we are, now we can look at changing all the factors that are causing that, sure. But that's a big problem. That's a big change, right? So let's understand the parents don't want their kids ruining their mental health. No, if I went and lined up 100 parents and said, look, here's a survey. Are you comfortable ruining the mental health of your child? Yes or no? Everyone's going to tick no. So they don't understand that what they're allowing their kids to do could end up doing that. And a family psychologist said to me, it's 80% to 20%. 80% of kids will be fine going on social media, looking at the wrong content online. 80% are fine. 20% won't be. They'll have a range of different issues. Problem is, you don't know which of the 80 and which of the 20. Out of a group of 100, you don't know which you're going to be in the 80 group or 20 group. So, with all that aware and understood, and I got to that point pretty quickly because spending all this time around technology, I saw the arrival of social media. I saw the arrival of faster processors and brighter screens and other performance enhancement tweaks coming into smartphones. And I saw the age of people getting their first phone younger and younger. So I saw all this happening, and that's when I was thinking, we're going to have some problems here. This was years ago. We're going to have some problems. And we do, and the solutions are being presented. But I think at its core, you have to give parents something that they can do, right? So the parents that are in a group of other parents, they go, man, this is wrong. I don't want my kids doing this. No, I don't want them to be doing it either. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to let them on those kinds of phones. Or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. Where do we start? Well, we want you to be able to go and buy our phone and know within a certain short period of time, and your feedback was very helpful, Matt. We're working to shorten that period of time for setup. You can have a safer phone experience for your kids.
And to Matt's question, it really is an education thing, not only for the child with the phone, but also to the parent knowing how to educate their child that this phone we're giving you is a phone.
Correct. Yeah,
but
correct.
Sorry?
Yeah, correct. It's correct. It is. It's a phone. And
so it's an education process for both parent and child.
Correct. We know that when kids get a Ge-Mee phone, they will graduate out of the phone, right? They will have it for a while, and then most of them want to have an iPhone, right? Most of them do. We're saying to the parent, look, for $180 or thereabouts, get this phone, right? Get the kid to show you that they can, one, look after it, and two, they can use it proactively in their day, not as a tractor beam for their full attention all the time. If they start doing that, you've got steps in which you can take to assist, right? And then let's try and build those behaviors so when they graduate off this, they might go to an iPhone. They might go to an iPhone, and you're providing parental controls through that system.
Let me tell you, I'd rather the $149 for your phone than the $2,000 plus for an iPhone. So economically, you win me straight away.
Well, and kids break phones. They do. Like we've now started, and Matt's got one around his Connect Pro, which is our current main phone model.
It is hard to get off. Can I just point that out? I'm trying to get it off now.
Well, and we built it. We built it to be difficult to take this case off. But we built this rugged case, and we give them out free with every phone that is sold now in Australia, in the US, in Europe, and in the UK, because kids break phones. And we were bundling one of these plastic cases. It wasn't strong enough. Kids were still breaking them. Right, you got to peel it back from the edge.
So I'm not going to be able to try, but it is on there. Yeah. There's also a screen protector on here as well. So if I drop it,
yeah, correct. So
that's out of the box.
We build it. We correct out of the box. We put all of these things with the phone to help kids with the understanding that kids are kids, right? they're not trying to break things, they just do. If you break one, the cost of buying this phone is less than changing a screen on an iPhone.
Yep. Been there, done that. Thank you. I'll buy two. Thank you very much. But in speaking of buying, you better tell us. I mean, someone watching you right now, how do I
Mm.
get one? Tell me how
Yeah,
I
so
get one.
So you can go to, if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you can get it through there. You can get it from Ge-Mee.com, which is our website address, g-mee.com. Just go to the Australian store. There's a US store as well. If you're in Europe or the UK, you can get it through Amazon. And you can order and have it delivered.
Cost?
It's $179 in Australia. The US at the moment, it's $89 plus tax. Europe, it's €89. And I think in the UK, it's £89.
Yeah, okay. My little son, let's assuming he's big now, but when my little son was little, he'd go into his room with his phone and he'd chat to friends on the phone. Now, you said you can, as the parent, you can select who can and who can't get into that phone. Is that correct?
You can assign what numbers can call the phone and what numbers the phone can call. You can assign those same numbers will also work to allow or disallow SMS messages, and by SMS we mean
Yep,
SMS and
yep.
pictures, videos, that stuff, um, to those same numbers. So if your son has got 10 friends, grandma, grandpa, mum, dad, you can assign those numbers and you can say, that's it. Anytime some scammer in India or whatever tries to call you, the call's blocked automatically. Anytime there's an SMS from a source that is going to try and scam you or is one of those sources, it doesn't get through.
You mentioned the tribe. Let's say that yours child has 15 friends.
Mm.
So if one of those 15 friends suddenly becomes not a friend and starts to cyber bully your son, does that mean instantly you are able to track who that person was and then take action?
Yeah, so you at the moment your kid would tell you, Tomo's sending me these messages and I don't want them, and you remove that number, and then the messages just stop.
Okay.
The other thing that happens is every time your kid gets a phone call, you get an alert that the phone has received a phone call from this number, right? And that came in very handy for my youngest kid, who I was sitting in my office room sitting one day in the afternoon, and I got 8 calls from one particular number, an alert of 8 calls from one number that had been received by my daughter's phone, Ge-Mee phone. And she walked past, I can see them walking down the driveway from where I am. And I looked at her face and she wasn't comfortable, right? She wasn't comfortable. I could tell something was wrong. So I went out, I said, look, darling, what's going on? Is everything okay? I didn't say, hey, I saw 8 calls come in. I said, is everything okay? And she said, X person at school is ringing me and pranking me, and I'm really upset by it, and I don't want them calling me anymore. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, I'm just going to block them for you. Okay. She said, thanks. Straight away, she felt that she had been seen and heard with, family psychology talk about kids being seen and heard. Her issue had been seen and heard. I had helped and talked to her about a resolution or a support to that issue. Right. And I also said to her, look, if they say anything to you tomorrow, if they're nasty to you tomorrow, just go tell the teacher straight away. Don't engage with them. We had a conversation about it. Right. So what could have been an ongoing, longer, more emotionally difficult situation for my kid was nipped in the bud pretty quickly. And that gave, when my wife and I were debriefing about that, we're like, this is a really powerful feature, right? Because you see straight away, she's not young enough to manage this. She's 12, right? You're the adult. You've given them the phone. You've now got this assistance to engage with them and help them work through. And so we make sure that call notifications are a part of our phone service with Ge-Mee Copilot.
So did you block that call number from your real phone, or did you block it only on her phone?
Only on her phone. So I can go from the app, my parent app on my phone. I can go and block it on her
Okay,
phone.
okay.
And I just said I just added it to a blacklist. She was pretty good. So we had certain numbers blocked. So all open numbers, but certain numbers blocked.
Yep.
And that's the way we had that one set up. You can go the other way and say everything's blocked except these certain numbers, right? Some
Right.
families set it up that way too. But we did it this way. That number was added, it was blocked, and then that was the last we heard of it.
So on your child's phone, is all of the social media access points taken off? I mean, you
Yeah,
mentioned
well,
TikTok.
she,
You've
she
blocked them
can't
all.
she can't install any apps that we don't authorize.
Okay.
But by install, we mean install off the internet, install from somebody sending her a direct download link through an SMS, install, somebody gives her, I don't know, a flash drive you plug into the C, the USB-C port. She can't install them that way too. By default, any new app that is installed on the device is automatically blocked, right? So even if your kid does find some way of installing some new app on there, right? They're smart. Sometimes they work these things out, and just say they did. We haven't had this yet, but just say they did. It's automatically blocked, and I see on my list of apps that this new app has been installed, right? So I'll get this alert saying TikTok has just been installed. Or this app, I'll go. I know it's blocked, so she can't access it, but it's on her phone. So then I'm going to go and have a conversation. Say, well, you know why you can't have this app,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to the education of the parent as
Correct.
well as the child. With the
Correct.
social media ban, the Online Safety Amendment, which came out in 2024, which acts in December of this year, up to the age of 16, would it not be in your best interest to negotiate or talk to the government on that particular thing? Because it seems you have the ready-made device already that can assist in blocking all those social media things.
Yeah, governments don't tell schools what to do from a point of view of commercial product, right? So they will say, state government will say, we're banning phones in schools, right? And these are the rules. State schools are affected, but they're not private schools or religious schools or Catholic
Yeah.
schools, that kind of thing, right? So um, we're not going to get anywhere by going there. So what we do is we put the phone out there.
Yeah.
And we engage directly with schools. So we've got some schools that are working with us here. We've got schools in the United States and a couple in the UK and Europe who are wanting our phones and asking for support. And we're building new features into our parental control system to better support at that level, with the understanding that the wants and needs of a school is different from the wants and needs of a family who is giving it to their kids versus a school who's giving it to all kids.
Is Google blocked on your phone?
Google is there, but Google is there, but you can block it. Yeah.
My kids are home from school right now, so they're in the other room making all the noise in the world. They've got no technology. My kids don't have technology access until they're given certain amounts of things. So for me, this is an absolute godsend because it's for my first child's first phone.
Yeah.
And they've used iPhones and Android phones in the past under supervision, but this is the first time they're going to have no supervision at all.
Yeah. And that's the similar scenario for many families. The difference with you, Matt, versus other families is that you've got a very good understanding of technology, right? And even parents who go looking, we find that even parents that go looking and do their research and go and do all the research into this stuff, it's not a fixed market. It doesn't stay the same. Apps change, right? Like best example is YouTube, right? It was once long form video. Then whatever it was, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, they added YouTube Shorts, and it just became a TikTok equivalent. So if you're a parent and you go, no, he can be on YouTube. He can be on YouTube, and he can use that because he's going to be looking at these kinds of videos. Fine. And then Shorts arrives, and then it's TikTok. And if you listen to guys like Jonathan Haidt in New York, he says that us watching short form videos is making us stupid. It's making us less intelligent, less smart. So the market changes over time, and that I think is the hard bit for parents to keep up with. It's this consistent re-education.
I just because I'm the normal part of this nerd and normal program, so I don't know, I can't even spell technology. But be that as it may, I just went on my phone, not a G-Mee phone, but on my phone. I went to Amazon straight away and typed in Ge-Mee. Bang, up it comes. There you can. I can add it to the cart and buy it. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is to get one of this incredible Charlie Brown development.
And that's the goal, right? Like I would love to put I would love to be big enough to have my phone in every retailer across the planet, but we're not big enough. We need a delivery mechanism that works. Online marketplaces and online sales work at the moment. In the future, yeah, we'd love to go into selected retailers and grow from there, and that will give us more scale and those kinds of things. But for us, it was more important to get into more and more countries and have our phones and devices available to families in those countries through a trusted and safe delivery mechanism than it was to get into every retailer.
I think it's a fantastic idea. Charlie, you are to be congratulated. And what you were saying before about when your daughter came home and you saw her coming down the pathway, you make a perfect example of how a parent can be engaged in a very important period of a child's life. You are a perfect example of a good parent doing the right thing by their child. Now, when they go out from your home into the tribe group, that's something, hopefully, you've given them sufficient training at home or education at home so they know how to deal with the tribe, because the tribe has a lot of power.
It does, and that's the hard bit as well, right? They'll have one minute the tribe is safe because it's got certain kids in it, then other kids come in and they've got different things, and the form of the tribe changes, and it's hard for parents. Like it's been hard for us, and I understand technology. I'm here every week telling people about technology. I can't. Well, I don't need to imagine. I know how hard it is for other parents because they come to me and they ask me, what are we going to do? But there's also engagement in, we talk about tribes in the community. Kids who are neurodiverse, right? Those families have been buying our devices. Kids who have got intellectual disability. We had one parent who came to us and said, well, my son's 30, right? He never leaves the home. And then we set this phone up, and because all the parental controls with Google and Apple, they're all age-based. Yours isn't age-based, right? My 30-year-old can have parental controls on their phone. I can set them. He's now going fishing, right? He's leaving the home. He's going out. I can track him. He knows that if he gets into an uncomfortable situation, like he just loses where he is, the proximity of where he is in the town. Yeah. He can ring me. I'll come pick him up. But he's out. He's fishing. He's walking. He's exploring the world. He's never been able to do that until we had a device which is offering what your device is offering. And that's when we go, yeah, look, there are important touch points for so many different communities in so many different ways. You just gotta keep building and keep listening to what they say to you. Matt set up our phone, or his wife did. The feedback was it took too long. We looked at that. We went, okay, well, we can get it from this amount of time to this amount of time with one small change.
The one thing I told you about is I think the phone should be also directed at people with vision impairments as well, because you actually increase the size of everything on the phone more than you can with other phones. I use a lot of phones, set up a lot of phones for vision impaired people. This one here, there's no other software needed. I've just used the software that's come on the phone, and it can be set up with great big icons that vision impaired people can actually see quite clearly and easily.
At the start of this chat, I said I've got a 7-year-old, and one just turned 7 and one just turned 8 grandchildren. And one of them is on the spectrum. And I see this being an absolutely wonderful piece of technology that I can start to talk to them about the dangers out there and how you can use this phone and how it still is a phone. It is a phone. It's just got certain things that me, your granddad, can help you with.
Correct.
So really, I repeat what I said before, with the social media ban coming into effect, this is a piece of machinery that could be part of that helping a child through that difficult problem of TikTok and Facebook and whatever, and Instagram, whatever else you want to talk about. So you are to be congratulated, Charlie, and I don't know whether it was your idea or Rachel's idea to begin with, your wife, but whoever's idea it was, well done. 10 out of 10.
Well, Rachel came up with the Android iPod idea, right? And I was showing it around. Our sponsor of our radio show is Harvey Norman, and every year or so I go meet with Kate Page, the CEO, and every once in a while I'll bump into Jerry Harvey, and I was showing it to him. He says, "Mate, you got to do a phone." He said, "Do a phone." I was like, "Yeah, but," he goes, "No, no." He goes, "Promise me you're going to go do a phone. Promise me." And I said, "Fine, I'll go do a phone." And we did a phone, and that's where 60-70% of our sales are now. So
okay, well, if you know Jerry Harvey, you got to convince him now to sell them in his phone section of all the Harvey Norman stores across Australia.
yeah, look, they know about it, right? They know about it, and we have a really close relationship with them. Just because, and I'm very aware that our relationship with them is on a media perspective. One day they might say, "You know what, Charlie, we're going to take your phone. We're going to do this," and that's fine. We might get there, we might not. But at the moment, it is, how do we make sure that our customers can get our phone quickly, affordably, with minimal fuss, and that's what we've been able to achieve in 30 different countries.
Well, for me, who uses Amazon delivery system on a regular basis, it can almost be delivered the next day, and there's no delivery fee. The fact that Amazon is involved gives you a footprint across the planet that any particular store, without naming them in Australia, isn't going to be able to. So that in itself is fantastic.
Yeah, and look, there's a bigger story here, right? We grew Ge-Mee during COVID lockdowns. That's when we launched it and we grew it, and it was really, really hard to do it. But the biggest story is, if you've got an idea, you can now, for a product, you can now sell it worldwide. You can sell it worldwide, and you don't even need to go to the country that you're selling it in these days, right? Yeah. So if you've got an idea and you think what you're going to do, build or create or whatever, has merit, back yourself, because you'll at least have the ability now to get that global reach without having to be a global company.
Last week, Matthew and I have a problem. We keep wearing the same clothes. And he put that in a series of bloopers that follow one of our podcasts last week. So, Matt, it looks like Charlie and I must have to take over this program because we're both wearing similar.
In that case, then I'll disappear.
No, I'm joking. Look, I can't begin to tell you how impressed I am, Charlie. And it's another Australian invention. I'll say it again. Bloody hell, well done.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. It's been a journey. I won't tiptoe around that. It's hard, right? And I understand technology. It's been really, really hard. But at the same time, you get these emails from parents and other members of the community, and they just sort of tell you this story of how what you've created is helping them to do something they haven't been able to do before. Yeah. And that gives you a lot of positive energy to keep going and to keep building.
Listening to this and watching this incredible Australian Charlie Brown, if you want to get one of these phones, then simply go onto your phone that doesn't have any blocks on it, find Amazon, get into Amazon and order one. It's a Ge-Mee phone, Ge-Mee phone, a G-M-E-E phone. Buy one on Amazon if you have children or grandchildren and help them task their way through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, and all those other things that cause children a big problem. He is well after looking after Charlie Brown and the Ge-Mee phone.
Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you. Thanks for your interest.
Thanks, support. Charlie. No, good phone, good service.